whistleblowing isn't a fun thing. Whistleblowing isn't something you do for media attention. You're saying, I'm willing to throw my friends away, I'm willing to throw my family away, I'm willing to throw everything that I love or that I have built over the past few years away to come forward. So I was involved in the Brexit referendum on the Leave side. So I helped campaign to vote Leave, to leave the European Union. And I was started at Vote Leave as an outreach assistant volunteer, and I was involved with getting a black and ethnic minority outreach. And for me, as someone that was from Pakistan, a British Pakistani that came from Pakistan to Britain, and to see that my friends who were excelling in academics, excelling at university, couldn't even get a travel visa. And to see that kind of imbalance of treatment between Europeans and South Asians and other Commonwealth countries, I totally rejected that. And I knew that the only way out of that was by leaving the European Union. So I'm not ashamed of that. Midway through that, I started working on another outreach group, which was focused on young and liberal progressive voters. I found out later that the reason why we were set up as a separate campaign was so that Vote Leave could actually, in effect, overspend. And so we won the referendum, and it was only afterwards that I realized, through journalists really, and the Electoral Commission, that what we had done was in fact against the law. That Vote Leave had cheated the system. So I came forward about these revelations. And in that process, when I came forward, because I was in a short relationship with someone from the campaign who was implicated, I was outed as a gay man, and I was also fired for whistleblowing. So I had the whole wrath of the Conservative Party's media machine shut down that story by character assassinating me. You know, the irony is that Vote Leave, a big part of Vote Leave's campaigning was to campaign for democracy and sovereignty. But in that process, they've completely tainted the idea of democracy. And to see that kind of like crumble apart and be picked apart by not just MPs or senior advisors, but by the government is quite a scary thought. Like, there were times when the story came out and when I was outed and then I lost my job, I did say to myself, was it worth it? I've pretty much lost all that I could have lost. You know, I had my first ever anxiety attacks. You know, I had my first ever like kind of stages of actually being fearful, scared. And I grew up in Pakistan. Like, growing up in Pakistan, I've been held at gunpoint. Like, I've been robbed. To see such a developed country fall into the hands of liars and cheaters and scammers and just all around like people that do not have any respect for the law. It's a very scary thought. And I think it's different to what the fear was in Pakistan. The way that the establishment politicians work in any country is, if there's a whistleblower, shut them down. Do anything in your power to convince the public through the media, through public statements, through internet adverts, through online articles. Do everything in your power to make sure that in every single individual's mind, all they see or think of when they think of that person is like their sexuality, who they're having sex with, what dirty deeds they've done, what bad things they've said in the past, instead of focusing on what they're actually talking about. I know that I will eventually find a job, but the British democratic system can't recover from it, I don't think, if they don't sort it out now. If Japan is going to have a referendum, then it needs to ensure that that referendum is totally and utterly fair. And if you don't have spending caps, then that's problematic. And then to also, with a particular focus on digital advertising. People underestimate the power of advertising, of Facebook adverts, of online advertising. Online adverts focus on who you are as a person, your identity. They focus on your interests, your likes, your demographics, where you're from, what color your hair is. It takes all of that into account when it shows you an ad, when people show you that ad. People have gotten you down to the T, and algorithms can determine exactly what will make you angry and what'll make you happy. Like, people can find out the kind of people that react to anti-immigration sentiment. People that hate Koreans, for example. People that they won't just go after everyone in Japan and say, here's a video of Koreans of doing bad things. They will go after specific disenfranchised working class Japanese men, for example, and say, look, the reason why you don't have this job is because a Korean took it. That's what I meant by regulating that as well. And because it is powerful. These are powerful systems within elections. And we haven't reached a point where we're even talking about it. Britain is only now talking about it because of all of the stuff that's been going on with my revelations and Chris's revelations. But Japan needs to seriously consider that before they go into a referendum. I'm 24 and I'm still very much just coming out of my teens, I still watch My Neighbor Totoro, like, when I'm sad. And, like, I'm a quintessential millennial. I'm the last person that champions democracy. I don't know if I have the balls to be parading this, but I guess there's no one else. Because I wouldn't want anyone else to go through what I did. What's the point of having a democratic system then? What's the point of, like, having the freedom to vote if it doesn't even matter? So we need to protect those sort of things. And we need to protect it adamantly. It's important for particularly Japanese young people to use all of this sort of all of these social media platforms that they have, to use them to express their political opinions and be willing to argue with someone for it. Most importantly, you vote. Like, if you don't vote, then you are complicit in what your country will be in 20 years. If Japan decides to vote to get rid of Article 9 and allows Japan to take part in military warfare or whatever, then that's on you. The onus is on young people. The voter decides what direction they want their country to go in. And this is what people don't realize is, in many countries across the globe, particularly developed countries, the 20s are where you can really make the difference. If politicians see that they're losing votes, they will do anything in their power to make sure that doesn't happen. So show politicians what it is that you want, and they will do it because they are all fearful of losing that power. At the end of the day, they serve you, you don't serve them, right? Your vote they rely on your vote.